My journey from corporate to entrepreneurship has been the most exhausting journey of my life. And I say that as an executive inside corporate with two kids. I just can't turn it off. And ironically, I watched my dad work 80-hour weeks and swore I would never become an entrepreneur because of that. And somehow, yet I found my way here. I'm 100 episodes in, and today's different. I'm going to give you the real, unfiltered look under the hood of building a business. What's good, what's been super messy, and what is flat out hard as hell. This is no highlight reel. So if you've ever considered starting something for yourself, stick around because I'm going to get real raw. I'll get into why side hustling turned out to be the actual easy version of what I'm doing as opposed to the full thing, the exact gut check list I wish someone had handed to me before I left corporate, and the one thing about running the business I still can't answer for myself. Hey y'all, I'm your host, Courtney Cecil. Welcome to the Life Management System, the show built for working moms who are doing all the things but still feel behind. Here we trade burnout for boundaries and survival mode for something that actually feels like a life. So this episode's a little bit different, and I just appreciate you bearing with me. I think that for those of you that are more reality junkies, like reality TV junkies, this is kind of quasi it. It is like reality junkie reality TV for a entrepreneur. It is 120% not my normal style. And also, by the way, not even my own interest. That is not me. I don't need to know what somebody's wearing or what they're driving or where they're sending their kids for camp. I just don't need to know that. But I think there is a lot of interest around the topic. Is it worth going out on your own? So it's going to be a little bit more introspective. Wow, that's a hard word. But it's all in the interest of being super vulnerable with you on what my entrepreneur journey has looked like. So, given that growing interest, because I think about like a lot of the moms that I'm hearing from now, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's like, I'm anxious about the state of the economy, or I see a lot of employment trends that are like lending heavily towards role eliminations or shifting because of the introduction of AI agents, or maybe your life needs are changing. But so that, anyway, there's a lot of reasons that the interest starts to brew in somebody to start their own thing. And I've only felt that aggressively increasing. So I wanted to help scratch that itch for you. And I get it. Sometimes that week is because you've had a really bad week at work, or like maybe it's a month or a year or a couple of years. I don't know. But what I find is it kind of mirrors the same level of energy that political party swings have. So when a new political party transitions, how many times are you hearing people say, "Oh my gosh, I'm moving to Canada"? Well, first of all, we say that like it's a derogatory thing. I mean, Canadians are delightful, but as is America. But that narrative, like, oh, I'm ready to burn it all down, I'm ready to leave it all, I'm ready to pack my bags and go, is a very similar narrative to what I hear a lot with people who are inside corporate because they're threatening to burn it all down and just start their own adventure. And I get it. Like, that's can be attractive, but it's also not without hardship. So I'm going to get into that. I am in this episode right now, 100 lessons in. So AKA like 100 episodes in, which means I learned a lot. Hopefully you've learned a lot if you have been along the journey. So it just feels like a really poetic time to call that time out for you and reflect with you. And I'd like to be transparent. I want to give you a peek under the hood. I want to share the good, the bad, the messy middle, the hard as hell. I'm going to lay it all out there. But first, let me say, most importantly, how honored I am to the 30,000 listeners who have tuned in. Thank you, thank you, thank you for trusting in me and being along on this journey. It would also actually really help me a lot if you are willing to push pause right now and take 30 seconds to 2 minutes to leave a review. So on Apple, you click like you look up the Life Management System, the show itself, and or you just click out of this episode and you'll find the show. You scroll all the way to the bottom and click write a review. Your review is like 100 characters, or it'll take you no more than 45 seconds. And then on Spotify, it's even faster. You open the show, you scroll to the About tab in the top, and then you just tap 5 stars, right? 5 stars. So anyway, call a timeout for yourself now. Please do me the solid of doing that. I try not to ask for things often, but that is very important to my growth. So I'd appreciate it. Okay. Coming back from your review, of course, right? Let's go corporate or bust. Let's dissect that. So first, it's important context probably for you to know that I started this business 3 years ago after a very traumatic breakup with a company that I poured so much of myself into for 16 years. So the punchline of that story is that my team was eliminated and I was swept out with it. I spilled the tea on that on episode 65. I'll link that in the show notes if you want the full story. That is also like, that's reality TV. That's closest you'll get here. I'm more practical, tactical, here to help you, here to serve you than I am like bearing the tea on me. But there you have it. Anyway, what I experienced, like me leaving and me starting this, is not really atypical. A lot of small business owners I know are a result of having some form of inflection point in their life. They have a aging parent they have to take care of. They have a kid with special needs whose requirements pivot. They end up losing a job. They end up being consolidated. There's just a lot of stuff that happens that ends up being an accelerant for people going into business on their own. So the punchline of my whole story is that my journey from corporate to entrepreneurship has been the most exhausting journey of my life. And I say that having been an executive for over a decade inside corporate, raising two kids. But for context, okay, I've already said that company of 16 years that I was at, it was a global consultancy and public accounting firm. Then I moved from there to a Fortune 50 bank and I served as head of culture there. And now I'm leading change management activation at a Fortune 50 tech company. But I took a year off in between what I'm doing now and what I was doing in the culture space before to grow this business. Like I wanted to go all freaking in. And I share more about what that transition looked like and what my story was like inside episode 50. I'll also link that in the show notes. But to help make sense of this business, when I talk about this business, because you are tuning into it as a podcast, most of you don't know about the business side of it, but I essentially have two arms. One arm is the B2C side. That is like me being a strategic advisor to individual women, individual moms, to help them figure out how to manage the pieces. So we focus on helping them build a life management system. It is truly the inspiration behind this podcast name. And the way that I help them manage the pieces is to build a life management system. It is truly the inspiration behind this podcast. So a life management system in itself is there to help moms create more time. That's what we're solving for. It's there to help them manage their stress. It's there to help them be more present with their family and their kids. And most importantly, it's there to finally put themselves back on their to-do list. So that's alive and well. I have a small group that I often work with. I also work with more of a white glove experience with senior executives. So that's alive and well, doing great, love it. The B2B side of the business that I've been building is around speaking, and the speaking part's clicking. It's doing all right. And it's also around retaining women and caregivers. And I really did intend to make that a full-time thing. But let me tell you what, I'm at level with you. Making a B2C business profitable is really hard. It's really freaking hard. I'm doing all right, but it is in order to get anywhere close in the hemisphere of what I would need from a financial perspective to meet the existing means and way we live. Oh man, it's like I would need lots of clients, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. So it's not there. Like the B2C was never intended to be how I support myself. It was there to serve. I work with my clients to serve them. Every penny that I make goes back to investing in the moms that I hire. I hire a handful of moms, 3 specifically, and it goes back to being able to produce free content to help other people. So the B2C content is intended to be self-serving of the business, not of me. The B2B side of the business and helping companies build retention programs is where I intended to be making my money, but it's turns out really hard during a season where layoffs are rampant because everybody is, companies are aggressively letting go because of AI agents coming in. All that to say, though, if your company might be interested in retaining women or helping them get to higher positions in the workforce or want to benefit for new caregivers, like by all means, let's chat. But for the most part, like I am letting that piece of the business simmer now because of the new adventure I have in organizational change. Okay, so let's get into my lessons. The biggest and most unexpected one being that this past year, where I was no longer side hustling, like I was all in it full time all the time, was so much freaking harder than I ever expected. I thought like, oh, give me a year. Like I've just been side hustling for so long. If I have a full year to go all in, that's all I need to get this off the ground. That's not true, it turns out. And I think a lot of that is because of the economy, certainly, and the people just not investing in retention like they used to. But like that just has not played out the way it is. I felt like the hardest part of it was probably that I could never turn it off though. So what I mean by that is I saw my dad work 80-hour weeks. He was an entrepreneur. I decided that doesn't look fun. I don't want to do it. Yet I found my way here despite that. And I equate that Alex Hermosi, he's a famous like modern day entrepreneur. He jokes that he left his 40-hour work week to work 100. Never question the accuracy of what he said. I absolutely left my 40-hour week to work 100. It has been so humbling and so hard to get something off the ground. One of my really good friends, Mike, he is a chronic small business an operational owner. He was like, I would never start something because it's so much harder than taking something that's already built. I can appreciate that. It's not my passion though. Like I have a passion here. I have a passion around retaining women and into leadership. I have a passion around helping moms not lose themselves. So that's why I'm doing it. I hope it does well, but I never committed to starting this business because I thought it would be profitable, a big money maker, I should say. But it's been harder and more humbling than I ever expected. More importantly, I think I was not prepared for how hard it would be for me to turn things off when I go to bed at night. Like when I'm not side hustling. So when I was side hustling at the end of the day at 11 o'clock every single day, I'd be like, well, whatever I didn't get done is done. Like I'll just leave it. When I've been in business for myself, like full time without that steady paycheck, I felt like I could never turn it off. So every single day, if there were things left undone that would potentially lead to a sale or open a door for me, I was always going to do that. And I had a hard time figuring out how to draw that line in the sand. So that accuracy of Alex Hermosi saying he left his 40-hour week to work 100, he is not wrong. Okay, so other lessons from being on my own. First of all, it's lonely. And I told you I have three colleagues that I've hired that they're all three moms. I adore them. I'm so grateful for them. I've also found my work besties. So Sarah, Hannah, Caroline, Christine, um, the women I've been in a mastermind for the past year, they've been fantastic, especially Sadie. These girls have just been, I don't know, there's such an extension of my happiness in being in business because I feel like I'm in it with them. But at the same time, we're only kind of sort of in it. Like we support each other, we cheer each other on, we lift each other up, we share lessons learned, and big wins. But at the same time, we're still kind of in it on our own. So it's been lonely. Um, but there's so many ways that it doesn't need to feel like that. The problem, though, is struggling balancing the time with the people you meet, and balancing actually getting your work done. So what I have found is I am constantly being contacted by people saying like, "Hey, let's meet." And what they mean is like, "Hey, how can you help me? Let's get on the phone and talk about it." And I'm happy to do that. But the problem is like, how can you do that in a way and like balance that networking, like genuine networking. A lot of it really is very sincere. But how can you balance that genuine networking and being able to help others that are behind you? And also just knowing that that's what makes me feel a little less alone. How can you do that while also knowing that my work has to get done? So I have really ebbed and flowed there a little bit. I try not to take more than two of those calls a week at max, because what I was finding is that by having all of these conversations with people, it was, which were great, it was filling my social cup, but it was forcing me to get my work done in the corners of the week and led to a lot of late nights, a lot of weekend work. So I'm trying to be more intentional about avoiding that. What else have I learned? I've learned that I'm very opportunistic. I think that is like just my personality in a nutshell. I am a half glass person. Um, I told people for a long time that I'd retired from corporate. And turns out that's not the case, because what I've learned is that when this other opportunity, like I swear y'all, I think it was a total God wink. That opportunity more or less landed on my lap. I like I even told, when the rec was released, I told the person who released the rec, I was like, I don't think that skill set is what they're actually looking for. They said that they want, somebody with traditional change management background. I was like, what I think they really need is like a traditional org strategist that understands how to activate and how to align functions and that sort of thing. Turns out I convinced somebody. So it was just like I had not been actively looking. I had not applied anywhere in 6 months. I think I've applied to two places in a year. So I wouldn't say I wasn't I was actively always keeping my eye on the market. I mean, I encourage you to do the same. It's always nice to know what's out there and how much you're worth, but I don't know. I just felt like it was a total God wink, so I pounced on it. But I think that one of the things I've loved about being able to be an entrepreneur is being able to just accept the opportunities as they come. Like never, I don't feel obligated or locked in any form. Actually, my business coach, she just made the decision herself after, gosh, she's been in business for a decade, and then she's had her program that I participated in for 5 years. She was just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm shutting the doors at the end of the month. I'm not going there. Like, I'm keeping doors open, but I created the business in part to serve and in part to serve me, and being flexible and being able to live the life I want to live. And it allowed me to, to pick and choose what I said yes to. And I love that about it. I have also grown and stretched in ways that I never thought I could. And some of it's really great. I was actually telling somebody the other day, I learn so much faster as an entrepreneur because I have to. Like, I am knee deep in figuring out how to create agents, how to create a full operating model, an org chart of agents, what they can do, how to stretch them, how they work with each other, like stuff like that would take me forever to learn inside corporate. I I love the pace of change. I love the way that I'm just being stretched and the pace in which I'm learning. I always have been a consumer of like educational material. Now I am just hooked. That's all I do. Um, I can't say enough great things if you are a curious person, but it comes with the flip side as well. Like I am being stretched and growing in ways that I also don't love. Like I never desired to be my own tech person, like to know IT like the way I know IT. I would blow your mind with some of the things that I have to do now that, I mean, I don't need to, I had no desire in it. Marketing, same thing. Content creating, actually not Instagram. Like if, by the way, if you're not following on me on Instagram, absolutely please do, at Working Moms Movement. I'm very active in my DMs there, and thank you for everybody who chit chats with me. But I will say, like content creation, I mean like this podcast or articles, my blog. I have a blog. I like that kind of stuff. That's all right. It's not what I want to be doing. I want to be helping people. I want to be doing the work of like helping strategize with moms. When you like, I was texting with somebody earlier today, and a friend, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I really didn't understand that's what you do." She was like, "I'm in survival mode all the time." I was like, "Girl, that's what I do. Like that's my job is to help moms get out of survival mode, to be the strategist, to help you curate a customized life management system that serves you. So like that's the crap I love. But I'm now a content creator. I'm a master networker. That's all right too. I'm a CFO. I don't love that. I don't like my CFO. I don't love my sales professional role at all. I could get rid of that for sure. Um, I am literally every CXO you could possibly imagine. But the coolest CXO role I have is actually my hat as CEO. I love, 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 love getting to move fast. Like I get to move as fast as I personally am capable of moving. So it allows me to dream big and make very quick decisions and then very agilely like move my chess pieces around. That's so much fun. But the flip side of that, it's like for every coin I say, here's like, oh, here's a great part of it. Then there's another side of the coin that's just perhaps not as great. So the side of that coin that's not as great is like, yes, I get to move fast. Yes, I get to make my own decisions. That is probably my favorite part of owning a business is being able to come up with ideas and move and make them happen because that's just how my brain works. I'm constantly thinking of ideas. But that also means I'm feeling immense pressure all the time to do more. And that means that the boundaries are incredibly hard to put in place for myself to turn off that work at night or on vacation. Like I'm constantly wanting to do more. It's an addiction. So some personalities might not do well here. And I mean, who's to say that I'm not doing well with it because I actually struggle with that too because I'm just so addicted. But it's because I love the ideas and I'm generally good at ideas. I'm good at developing a strategy and seeing how the pieces line up and connect. So that serves me very well. But I also think that that need that I feel, that pressure I feel to always move faster, also is surfaces some imposter syndrome. So what I mean by that, and I feel like it's worse as an entrepreneur, but like I'm constantly comparing myself to others, like others' follower accounts, others' quality of work, others' talk tracks, others' progress. And guess what? That's so dumb. It's the exact same thing I coach people not to do in their personal life. Like I'm constantly saying, I don't have some of the material items that some of my friends and neighbors do. I do not have uh, this life or that life. Like I'm constantly doing like I am so good about it in my personal life. I know to stay in my lane. I know to only do and serve myself and what I value and what I prioritize. But for whatever freaking reason, in my business, I cannot. I have not figured out that skill. Like it's very much still a work in progress for me relative to my business. And I think it's just because, so my top two strengths and strength finders, number one is achiever and number two is competition. And it's not like that's taken me a bit to get over that. I cried when I found out that competition was one of my top strengths because I was afraid that people would think like I want them to fail. And that's 100% not it. That's not how it manifests for me. For me, competition shows up as like, how do I keep up leveling myself? How do I make myself better? Um, and that just coupled with achiever as my number one means it's really hard for me to turn off. It is what I am best at. It is my superpower. And as a business owner, I really need to put controls and a container around myself. So I am actively working on that. And one of the ways that I found that I can support myself through it is actually going back to work and not feeling like every dollar really matters. So that's part of my decisioning. Go back to work. I for sure keep saying that. And I'm like, no, I've been working. Or when somebody says that, like, oh, you're going back to work. No, no, I'm just going back to corporate. I've been working. I've been working a lot more actually. And I just said the same thing myself. But anyway, I think when I also find myself comparing to other people on the entrepreneur path, I just, I guess, not fair in the investments too. So a lot of others make big investments in their business. It might be a small monetary investment, but a big time investment. So as an example, like they give up everything in order to work around the clock, I should say, on making their dream happen. Some people will invest financially in other arms and legs and fingers to help them move faster. I have invested monetarily very modestly Um, I would say that my margins are about 70% right now. And that's decent. Maybe a little less, maybe more like 65. But they're not bad. They're not great, but they're not bad. Part of it is I've been able to manage my margins appropriately. But if I was to invest other ways, invest bigger, I'd probably be able to go faster. I definitely would be able to go faster if I said no to other things in my life. But I'm just unwilling to compromise on my social life. It is what I live for. So I'm just not willing to let go of certain things. And I know that that has to be part of my problem on why I'm not going as fast as I am. Um, Okay, so last on my lesson list, I had to document them this time to be like, okay, what are the lessons? The last one is I think I'll always be multi-passionate. And by intention, I started my corporate career in a more entrepreneurial firm, and I probably realistically jumped ship inside that company about every 2 years. Like I was constantly resetting in a new role because I was always hungry for more. I wanted to keep growing. I wanted to keep learning. I wanted to do interesting work. I wanted to do new work all the time. I like to build things. I know that about myself. I don't necessarily want to take something that's already half baked and then figure out what to do with it. Like I want to do the thinking from scratch. So I always bebopped around. But I believe that being, once again, it's a blessing and a curse of being multi-passionate. There's a good and bad for everything I've said. So, as an example, I have been actively trying to manage a business idea I've had brewing in my head for 10 years. And it is taking every bit of discipline I have to not start that thing now. But the only reason I haven't started it is because, well, one, it takes a lot more capital and that's riskier. But the biggest reason is I just can't afford to be distracted by shiny balls if I ever want the working moms movement and the life management system brands to be successful. And oh, by the way, I applied for trademarks for both of them about 3 months ago. So finally, very overdue. Um, so if I want to make those brands successful, I have to commit to them. If I want to make the life management system into a book, which I absolutely do, I have to stay heads down on that plan. So I'm trying to really be patient with that other big idea I have that would certainly, I actually think could be a moneymaker, could be something I could even franchise and take big, big. But it's just not where my heart is right now. So I'm just going to sit on it. I'm going to force myself to sit. So maybe you've listened to all this and you're not that deterred. You're like, okay, well, I can see some pros and cons in everything she said and her own experience. So let me add a couple other considerations if that is you and you're actually still quasi considering whether this could work for you. So one, um, please don't go into this having expectations you're going to make money. You could. Of course you could. But most small businesses fail within 5 years for a reason. I don't know the statistics. You should Google that. It's pretty high. It's very high. So I keep telling myself that. And, considering on repeat, like, is this worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? I feel like I got to do it. I got to try. I've got to put it out there. I also recommend that you come into this with patience, and that unlike me, you find yourself in no hurry to get results. So it's because I'm so impatient, because that achiever and competition side of my strengths finders is getting the best of me, that I'm just like it. I drive myself crazy. Um, I recommend that you get really comfortable and understand that selling is your main job. That's the other part of entrepreneurship that I underappreciated is that I don't like to sell. I don't mind selling as much as I used to, but it's because I've learned that I am serving as well, that I am helping somebody. And if I can help you, if you have a problem and I can help you do it, I can help you solve for that, by all means, I want to do that. But I have a lot more fun doing the thinking and having the engagement with people. So it means that I struggle to ever carve out time to sell. And that's part of part of why I'm not great at growing this business is I focus more on the other stuff because it's what I enjoy. But just know that if you are in a small business, then selling is probably going to be your main job. Um, and I would also say that if you have a B2B skill, particularly for small businesses that can serve small businesses, those seem to be the most effective and the most likely to get off the ground. So anyway, hopefully that gives you some things to think about. And if like you heard all that and you're still interested, by all means, like reach out to me. I'll help give you a lift. I've learned some really hard lessons, but also have a incredible small business community that I can help you tap into. I am glad I did this. Like I never want to put all my eggs in the same basket again after having my role eliminated. And I also know it's going to take a long time to figure it out. Like right now, I'm still figuring out what the right place is for me, what the right place is for this business, how big I want to go. Do I want to go into chasing that next B2B deal and know it'll always distract me? Or do I just want to be happy serving a few like individual clients and just know that's what makes me happy? But I won't learn that overnight. I'm learning a little bit more as I go. But what I do know for sure though is that I am incredibly proud of my progress and incredibly proud of all the things I've been able to do for the past 3 years. And it's pretty cool too, knowing that my boys are genuinely impressed. Like they think I'm cool. They might not agree with this if they're listening to this 10 years from now, but they have said as much. So I think that I feel very passionate about how I want to encourage them to do the same thing. I want to encourage them to start their own thing, but when they're right out of college and when they actually have the capacity that I don't have to do it. So that way it has a little bit more teeth and it gives them more just, I don't know, a better, well-rounded skill set. But also, once again, all their eggs aren't in the same basket. So I'm definitely going to encourage them to do it. But I'm glad they've gotten to see me do it. I feel like they respect me, that they are learning what women are capable of. They're like, it's not that they've ever doubted it. It's what I'm demonstrating. It's what you all are probably demonstrating for your kids too. I'm confident of it. If anybody is tuning into this, it is because they care about being at their best. So I fully trust that you are leading your kids in the same way I am. So don't feel like a side business is the only way that you can accomplish that. And um, to wrap this up, like if you're thinking, I'm clunking through my career journey right now. I don't know what's next, but I feel like it's not what I'm doing now. And I need to rethink things. I've got 2 episodes that I'll link in the podcast show notes that might be helpful. The first is episode 53. So it's the title, Should You Leave Your Job or Should You Set Better Boundaries? So that's one if you are feeling stuck and feeling like maybe I'm just worn the heck out on this role or this job or this boss, like listen to that, episode 53. The other one is episode 19. So if you were debating next steps on your career journey, I walk you through about 8 different variables that you should consider to make a decision that is aligned with what you most value. Okay, friends, you've been a gift to me. So here's to the next 100. Please, 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 if you haven't yet, share this with a friend. It really helps my growth. Again, if you have not reviewed, please do that. Those are signals to me that it's worth keeping going, because when I'm getting love back, that's when I'll continue like pouring into creating this, because it is a labor of love, friends. And last and most importantly, thanks to Leah. So Leah is my producer. She is my assistant, and she is my ride or die teammate that I hired from the very beginning. She started with me 3 months into the start of Working Moms Movement. So Leah, I love you. I am so grateful for you. I am grateful for our partnership. And with that, that's a wrap. If nobody's told you lately, you're doing a great job. You've got this, mama. If today's episode has you wondering whether it's time to leave your job or just set better boundaries where you are, go listen to episode 53 next. I walk through exactly how to tell the difference so you're not making the call out of exhaustion and instead you're doing it out of clarity.